Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to KF&JF podcast. Today, I want to talk a little bit about what it takes to really get yourself all together for certain things. Life is one of those things where it continues to show us that we are not in control, no matter how and how much we seem to think that we are. We're just absolutely not the one in control. And I'll tell you a little bit about why I think that's the case. Because I've seen it from all different angles. Maybe not all different angles, but a whole lot of angles. And my perspective is going to be a little bit of my perspective. And I go from it and I come at it from this way. God is in control of everything. There's nothing you do, nothing you say, and nowhere you go that God don't know. So if we start with the premise that that's the way things are, then it probably makes it a little bit easier to understand my conversation because not everybody believes in that and not everybody takes that to heart. The fact that God is the one who's in control and that where you go and what you do is already been marked on paper. We're just the one how. Now, I'm not going to say how, but we're just the ones who is coloring it in. It's on paper, but we're coloring it in. The directions from where you start and the directions for where you're going to end, how it's written, is already there. The variations of color is what you put down, how you lead, and how you guide yourself. And I think about this in the context of the political situation that we're in. Right now, everybody's gotten their heads twisted and minds shot out over life. For some reason, here in America, people think life is just, you know, one side or the other. When you start looking at the way it's been written over time, you'll realize that God has had to deal with multiple countries at the same time. And yet, it was written all in one color. And that was the color of do unto others, you want others to do unto you. Again, this is my view. So, and I start looking at the situation that happened the other day regarding Nancy Pelosi. And I started to myself, well, how did that happen? What was the part of this that led to someone wanting to go into somebody's house and beat up an old woman? She's 80 something years old. I'm thinking of that being my mom. She's 80 something, or getting ready to be 80. And I start thinking, what is the reasoning for someone to want to wake up in the morning and go beat up my mom? What does she do to them? How does she affected them to where she is the target of their morning coffee? Well, it's one of those things where we're probably never going to be able to understand. But it is the color that is written. We know the start, we know the end. But this is part of the coloring of the situation. Is it our politics that has been so driven by hate, misunderstanding, sense of entitlement, and a sense of you're right and I'm wrong? So therefore, we must fight. And when you look at all of the things that has happened in life and all the people that have dealt with these type of issue over the history, that we know, all of us that's of age that know, it's been one of those things that has never really truly been understood. There is no real um, answer to someone that is wrong and someone that is right. You know what the situation is? It's called understanding. Do you understand where I'm coming from? And do I understand where you're coming from? Because in that is balance. And today, as someone wake up in the morning to go over and beat up an old man because of his understanding of the situation in life, where he's seen things in a way where he feels as if this old lady is out to hurt him, out to make him something he's not, marginalize him in some way. And that has got to be furthest from the truth. When you think that's not something that's rational, but it is something that we're facing in our politics of hate today. And I look back on life of all the things that I've learned in my young age, from hate, the real hate that African Americans has been through, from Selma to dogs to slavery to whippings to education to financing to every aspect of the American life to some extent. African Americans has been really, 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 truly hated or disliked, if you don't want to use such a strong word as hated, because it might not be shown that way. It may not be colored that way in your eyes. But in some, it is very much colored that way. So hate and misunderstanding and all of that is something the black and brown people probably feel is something that they can go ahead and take solace that, hey, I should be angry. But truly, if you look at it, they don't holster that kind of anger every day, running around trying to be a holster of anger. Now, not to say that they don't have it, not to say that they don't sometimes show it, but it's not something that every day they're running around trying to be in front of the TV camera to push in our politics. But I've learned that maybe we're just not seeing the right color on the paper. So as I look at the problem with this politics and what Trump has done to probably get people to see things his way and look at things from his point of view, he has the microphone of the voice that people in this country seem to like. And I'll tell you the honest truth about that, because this might be something that people don't know, or some people probably didn't get. But people used to like Donald Trump, black, white, Mexicans, everybody. Let's not think about the background of Donald Trump as far as what his color is in the background, but what he was putting forth to the image that he was portraying was a businessman, a rich man, a man of that he thought would be someone that liked and someone that was honest in his opinion about you. People could understand that. People could actually look at that and say, you know what? That's how I want to be. I want people to understand me for who I am, and I want to be able to be straightforward with them so that there is no question about who I am. That is something to take stance with. But we're not talking about the color that's on the paper. The color that's on the paper with Donald Trump is a little bit darker. It's a little bit more hidden. But yet now it's out in the view. Because you know why? He's brought in a lot of people that have that view that honestly don't like certain people. And we've seen this before in this country. We've seen the darkness of this country. And I don't understand why people don't just look back and see that that is not a place where you want to go. It cannot be a place where a country of the United States would want to ever repeat or look into and said, we want to go back that way. But there are people that want that. There are people that look at that in a way that just doesn't make sense to you and I. But they have come to the agreement in their mind that hate is a way of getting what you want. And that is something that I cannot take in as um, something that we should all be thinking as satisfactory. That is something that we should be sitting around our kitchen table going, you know what, Dad, Mom, who can we hate today? What can we do to get hate to get what we want today, Mom? How can hate make us some food? How can hate get us a job? How can hate get us some money? But there are people out there that are doing that, from politicians to organizations to all of the people that think that hate has a place. It does not, ladies and gentlemen. It just does not have a place. Not in a country where you have all of these people who have been burning their lives or taking away all of their family time and all of their personal time to make their lives better, not only for themselves, for their friends, for their neighbors, for their country, for everybody around them. What about those people? What about those people that have given up everything that they have for somebody else? For somebody else to have something equal to or better. That is the dilemma we face in the politics of today, and how Nancy Pelosi has come to this kind of harsh reality of our politics. She's hated, but yet she's served over 30 years in the position of trying to help someone else, trying to be a part of the political environment that geared on societal issues, problems to be resolved with an understanding of how to come to a common cause and ground. But somewhere along the line, we've lost that. Let's just think about the people we've lost in that common ground area. You know, we have Martin Luther King. We lost him in that common ground area. John Lewis, we lost in that common ground area. You know, and there is just a whole lot of others that I'm not going to be able to mention because I don't want to be the one to leave a whole bunch of people out. But I mentioned those two for the purpose of two purposely good reasons, two really good reasons. One is unity of all people, what Martin Luther King wanted. Even though he wanted the success of black men and women, children, to be equally judged as their counterpart, that is something to be admired for that is something that this country is supposed to stand for. But we look at John Lewis, who was a part of that fight, but had left a fight to be yet to be reckoned with, and that's the voters' right. For people to be accepted in their stance in voting, to be equally judged as to how they get to the voting box. Two powerful, very powerful statements of the American conscience, the vote and the uniting of that vote, its people. So as I get back to the story of Nancy Pelosi and her husband being attacked, I have to think about where is it that we've made the horrible, horrible turn? Was it the people around us that did it? Was it our family? Did they not get the memo of understanding? Was it our neighbor's family? Did not get the memo of understanding? Because I realized they all got a kitchen table. I mean, maybe not all, but we all sit there at some point and think about each other and wonder what that other person will take from us. And in that becomes the judgment of who and what we think about each other. And I have to get back to the understanding that in my life, when you step on the toes of misunderstanding, you'll never, ever, ever get back your toe because it will be taken. Because your misunderstanding will be doubled and then misunderstood in another way and misunderstood in this way, and it'll keep being misunderstood to where you'll never get it back to be able to correct that misunderstanding. So the key is this, that you don't make and you don't speak what you don't know. Therefore, there is no misunderstanding. You have a straightforward answer. And I think that is what Trump brought to the table when you liked him. But now we have an issue where people in this country has found that this man has just tore us apart. He had just brought hate to the table. He had just brought out the roaches, the rats, the ants out of the woodwork when they used to be on the ground. They used to be in places where you didn't see them, or we had spray to keep them away. And the spray of goodness, the spray of love, the spray of understanding was the biggest defecting spray that kept some of those things away. I don't have much to say to those people who are feeling as if this country is in a bad position, because some places I've been, they were in some bad positions. Bathrooms messed up and a whole lot of other stuff. But how do we get out of this situation? How do we make ourselves and the people around us better? How do we come to a place where we do not have hate? And I'll tell